Winning with a small payroll in baseball is something the majority of front offices cannot handle. We've seen the Pirates, the Athletics, the Royals, and many more rebuild, years on end, with absolutely no success. It's felt impossible, and still feels impossible for some of these teams to ever win. But there is a team that is able to win with a very small payroll. That team is the Rays. Their payroll is currently only $20 million more than the worst team in the MLB, aka the Oakland Athletics. Now, how are they managing to do this? How are they winning baseball games? Well, we could even go ahead and talk about the Pirates, who have only a $10 million difference than the Rays, yet there's a major difference between the teams. So the question is, how are the Rays doing it? What makes them different from every organization? What is it? Well, the difference is that the Rays can do it all with a low price, right? They have some of the best scouts in the MLB, which results in A+ drafting every single year, to go along with one of the best front offices in all of baseball. The way they're able to stay on the same page is by having the same motto, which is, of course, let's win at a low price too. Drafting, developing, and of course great trades, absolutely fleecing teams, Chris Archer, and buying absolute needs on the team in free agency. Combining all of these things, they've formed an Albert Einstein type front office. One of the things we've seen the team come up with are, of course, the opener games, which, of course, was invented by the Rays, which is putting a reliever to start the first inning against the top guys in the lineup and then putting in a starting pitcher so we can get into a groove, especially if there's injuries or especially if they're struggling. So again, it isn't ideal to do it, but it was a smart strategy to come up with, especially for a team like the Rays. A team that constantly has injury and especially, of course, as we know, with the arms. Shane McClanahan, even, who was likely going to win the Cy Young if he stayed healthy, recently underwent Tommy John, as well as a good bit of other arms like Jeffrey Springs or Shane Baz. I mean, the injuries are constant every year for Tampa. The injuries happen, but this year's been different because injuries are happening, don't get me wrong, but they're not losing like how they usually do because of injury. They're finding ways to win and finding guys from absolutely out of nowhere, coming in and replacing some guys who were injured, and now you're getting production. Just randoms from the 40-man playing at a very high level, and this is an example of a smart front office. With a small payroll, it's important to have a strong 40-man, but it's also important to have superstars, guys who are set in stone to be in that lineup, to be in the rotation consistently and constantly. Recently, they lost Wander Franco. This time, because of course, the Rays are always cursed losing players, it wasn't actually because of an injury. Franco is currently being accused of doing some not good stuff with multiple different minors. So this is a guy who had a .281 average, 17 homers, and an .819 OPS. A key player on defense as well there at shortstop. A guy who got extended on a massive contract from the Rays. Again, a small market handing out a big deal, and now he's likely not going to end up finishing his career at all. So what have they done to go ahead and replace Wander, at least for 2023? Well, instead of having just a massive hole in the infield and suffering because of it, they instead somehow managed to turn this into not a negative. They called up shortstop prospect Basabe, who's really been good, right? He's been more than what anyone expected in the small sample size so far. It's a guy who can get on base with a single or a walk, and a guy I consider to be not an easy out, and this comes back to the Rays' incredible development at not only the major league development, but also the minor leagues, right? Some of the best minor league systems in the entire MLB. Even after calling up top prospects constantly, they still have a lot of great guys in that farm system. Currently, that Rays team has a top 10 farm in the MLB with also a top 10 team in the MLB. They make being a small market team not such a bad thing. They should also be an example for the small markets that struggle in modern day baseball, like the Pirates, like the A's, and like many, many more. While the Rays have struggled in the postseason a little bit, they've made it to a World Series as of recent, and if it wasn't for injury at times, making large impacts in the team, they could get places. Whereas other small markets may not have the injury bug. It's just the Rays. But my only complaint is that they haven't fired every single trainer in the building when they absolutely should have after all of the injuries that they've suffered as of recent. Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't already, and peace out.